So I don't know about you, but sometimes I like being lazy in BedWars. There's so much pressure as a content creator to be the greatest, the best, and not die, ever. You have to have a perfect game or else people, will call you trash. Or they'll go around saying they beat you in a 30v30, which actually happened during the recording of this video. Somewhere, somehow, someone was, I don't know if they say this every single time they join a 30v30 or something, but I so happen to have been inside the match, and they're like, I beat DV in a 30v30, and I'm like, first of all, I'm just chilling. Second of all, like, win. And third, it's a 30v30, man, but let's not even go. That's not what this video is about. This video is about lazy kits, because there are some really good kits that are still effective. Even if you're being lazy, it's still a really good kit, and it can also help you win. Even at the end of the match, if you just feel like you have to carry your team, you can still do so. But when you're feeling lazy and you just want to hang back and get OP with as little effort as possible, these are the kits. And the first one we're going to cover is Vulcan. Vulcan can be really annoying, especially when you got like a Ren on your team and you can get some of those extra potions. Dude, Vulcan can shred. The only downside is you do need 1 emerald for a turret, but it's not that much. It's really easy to go out there and just get 1 emerald. Okay, we're talking about minimal effort here for your turrets. And of course, you do need to place your turret somewhere that's actually going to be effective against, enemies. So, I mean, this is literally, you just sit back at base in the middle of the generator, sitting there collecting all the, diamonds, collecting all the iron, and eventually emeralds, and that just makes more turrets. But if you can combine different enchants, like, you got like fire effects, you got static, enchants do stack with your turrets. And I believe Ren's potions also stacks. Next up, we have Builder, and Builder is really, really annoying, especially if you have a good builder that you're going up against. Man, that hammer with the reinforcing, especially getting those reinforced blocks, you can reinforce ceramic. And, with the whole upgrade system now, if you don't have like good destruction points, you're not going to be breaking much with fireballs. It's going to be pretty resistant to your fireballs. Yeah, even your siege TNT is going to have some issues. But Builder, beyond that, I mean, you're just hanging back out base. I mean, you're just sitting there defending your bed. It's one of the most lazy kits you can use. Next up, we have Noelle, and Noelle is another lazy kit, except you can't really be very, very lazy with this one. You do need to go out and get enough emeralds to be able to get, your little slime guys. I recommend getting the green slime first. That way you can, potentially duplicate your resources. So if you're trying to get extra emeralds, you can pretty much go around with him equipped. Increases the range for pickup, so you can get like items before someone else is rushing to like emeralds. You can get it before them. Plus it has a chance to duplicate, which is really OP. And then of course, you do need to get some more emeralds for the other damage. You got like the purple damage dealing slime, you've got the health regen slime, and then you got the slow movement slime. If you assign those 3 to your team, you can pretty much sit back at base and just keep re-equipping them. It's almost like a whisper without being with the player. If you can equip someone that's actually halfway decent, they can be absolute terrors to the enemy team. So really good kit for just being lazy. Now next up we have Marina, and this kit is really crazy. You can pretty much set up a trap for enemies, and it's really annoying. I've seen people use this kit on the offensive, which is the opposite of lazy, but today we're talking about lazy. Okay, so when you're lazy, you can pretty much set up the jellyfish around your base, and what you want to do is create like a fence, like a perimeter around wherever you want to cause the greatest damage, because once an enemy goes into your perimeter and you use your ability, those jellyfish can absolutely destroy most players. Even someone with diamond armor can get shredded by this stuff. You do have a maximum number of jellyfish. You can only use 4 of them, and so you're pretty much creating a box for players to walk into and get zapped by your jellyfish. Kind of reminds me of the Demo Man from Team Fortress, because you can remote detonate your bombs, and it's just a fun kit in general, just to be lazy with. You can also use it around your bed to add a little extra bed defense. I kind of wish the range for the detonation would go further, because once you're out of range, I don't know the exact range limit, but once you're out of range, you can't really do anything with it. You try to hit your ability and it's not going to work. I think you have to be pretty close to them. Next up is an OG, which is the Fisherman. Fisherman, you pretty much just need to go and buy your fishing pole, and then pretty much it's just free diamonds, free emeralds, free iron, free bunch of stuff. Like, especially if you can get the goldfish, in which case I did during this video. I got the goldfish, dude. It's so OP. So what I recommend is anytime you see the iron, by the way, like the gray box, pretty much just jump and get out of it and then get back into it. The only downside is you can get interrupted. So if you get hit by an enemy arrow, or if someone places a block under you, it can be really annoying, because it'll completely reset your cast or your fishing kind of action. So you're going to want to get away from your team. Teams are pretty much the most troll unless you're in squads. But if you're on 30v30, man, they're so annoying. Next up, we have Cogsworth. This is both a helpful kit and also useless kit at times. It depends on the map for one, and it also depends on how annoying the enemy is. But if the map is kind of, you know, difficult for them to navigate across, especially if the generators are far away or there's a lot of gaps around and people are building, depends on how they're building too. But if you don't have a clean bridge, these little robots can get really, really dumb. They just don't know how to get through basic stuff. Sure enough, you just pretty much have to make sure they have a constant open path to be able to navigate. And you can have 4 of each type. You can collect, you know, diamonds with these. You can also collect emeralds, and you have a maximum of 4 of each bot. You can also supercharge them, which is really cool. When you supercharge them, they move a little faster. They can also cause damage to enemies that are nearby. And so if you supercharge them, at that point, they start zapping. Enchants, if I recall, they once worked with these guys. So they would like cause static damage. They were pretty much free Tesla coils. Next, we have Whisper. This is a really annoying kit. If you have a good Whisper, it can be devastating for anyone on the opposite team. So how this kit works is you pretty much assign the owl to whoever you want. Ideally, someone that's not AFK, because oh my gosh, the number of AFK macro users in BedWars these days is crazy. It's not as many as it used to be. And then you've got the people that just don't know how to play the game. There's so many casual players in 30v30s. How I do it is I look for the best geared player and then I assign the owl to them. That's the best thing, especially if they know what they're doing. They're moving like they have some kind of intent. And then you want to spam your ability for speed and healing like constantly. At the same time, just keep shooting at every enemy in sight. You can get some kills. You know, I knock people all the time with my projectiles. Sometimes I get owled by a Whisper and they don't know what they're doing. You know, they don't heal, they don't shoot. They're just kind of like, sometimes they'll randomly do the little speed thing, but you should be doing that constantly. Additionally, if your teammate falls in your Whisper, make sure you hit that, you know, save ability, which will fly your owl straight down and, you know, basically balloon them back up. It's literally like having a free balloon. Next up, we have Talia, and this is, you know, I know it's not really a lazy kit. It is though. It can be. Most Talia you've played against have probably been on the offense, just chucking chickens straight into your spawn and annoying you. And yeah, that's a very active and annoying and powerful Talia player. They know what they're doing. A lazy Talia player can still be really annoying because you got a bunch of chickens being lobbed at you while you're trying to break a bed. That's just as scary. I'm just gonna be honest. From a defensive standpoint, they're really powerful too. With Talia, you have the ability to buy eggs, and the more you buy and, you know, eventually hatch, at least the more chickens you have, the more expensive it gets. And as you progress, the cost does go up over time. Initially, it's like 22 iron, and then it gets more and more expensive later. So you're gonna eventually start paying emeralds for chicken eggs. You can also upgrade the nest, which does upgrade the chicken, which is pretty cool. So if you want to be able to get an emerald chicken, for example, that has a lot more damage, you're gonna go and spend the emeralds for it. It's pretty cheap though. Surprisingly, it's real cheap to get like your first iron upgrade for your nest, and then you can get a diamond nest. I think it was like 1 or so emeralds, and then the next upgrade was like 4 emeralds or so. So it's not that bad. It's pretty easy to get really OP chickens, and they just completely destroy enemies. They're so annoying. Next up, we have the OG farmer Cletus, and yes, he is super OP still. He does take a while to, you know, get off the ground because you have to spend a lot of iron initially for carrots, which are only going to give you diamonds, and then at some point you can start spending emeralds on watermelons. You can also spend, I think it's like 200 iron on pumpkin seeds. Pumpkin seeds are really nice for just having a lot of damage. Like, people are always surprised by the cluster bomb whenever these pumpkins explode. It does a lot of knockback, it does a lot of damage, and it's just scary when you see these explosions going off in front of your face. The downside of the pumpkin, you know, seeds is that they're consumed. You don't get a seed back. So once you consume the pumpkin, you have to go and buy another one. So they're essentially, you're spending 200 for a bomb, which is a lot of iron for just a, you know, one-time bomb or a grenade, however you want to call it. You can sometimes get the large one. I noticed that I got a large one out of nowhere. It was kind of unexpected. I think there's a little bit of an RNG that you might be able to get a larger pumpkin out of it. But once you get enough watermelons going, dude, you get so many emeralds to a point where you're just be able to feed your team with a ton of emeralds. It is slow going out first, but like mid to late game, it starts cooking. Like, you're gonna end up with too many emeralds. You're gonna have like hundreds of emeralds extra, and then you can just pretty much feed your team with a bunch of emerald armor. So that's a GG right there. As long as you have some decent, you know, players on your team. Next up, we have Lucia, and she is not as powerful as she used to be. She used to be so OP. I think she got too many nerfs. How this one works is you get a pinata that looks like a dodo bird. You place the pinata down, no one else can break it, and as you do damage to other players, you get candy, and then you can deposit that candy into the pinata. What you want to do is you want to break that pinata once it's at least 2 stars. I'm saying at least. Ideally, you want to be like 3+. At that point, you just break the pinata and you get all the loot. Now, if you break it a little too soon, say like around 200, you're not going to get that many emeralds. I usually Usually I get about 8 emeralds for that. It's just not enough for all the damage that you do, but that's how you're going to pretty much farm emeralds. Now, after you die, you get another, dodo bird pinata. So you'll have extras for free, or you can go and buy another one. So say you break it, but you don't die and you need another pinata to be able to put candy in. You just go to the merchant and buy another one and put the candy in. The next kit we have is Miner, and this one's pretty OP for lazy players. I mean, you don't really have to go out and find loot. You don't even have to farm loot. All you got to do is kill another player and turn them into a statue. So this doesn't work, of course, if you're knocking them into the void, because their body is inside the void now, and you're not going to be able to go down there and farm their statue. There is no statue. You have to kill them on land, or at least you have to kill them before they hit the void. And from there, you can break a replica of their statue of however they died. So whatever animation they were in when they died is the statue that they leave. It's hilarious. But you can pretty much get anywhere between, just some iron all the way up to like a ton of emeralds and diamonds, depending on how powerful they are. So the better the kill, the better the loot. So if you kill like an emerald armored player, then you're going to get a ton of emeralds, obviously, off that player's statue. Next up, we have Ren, who's just pretty much a shopkeeper. He's like a budget version of Zenith. No more arguing. The dev said it's Zenith. It's Zenith, okay? It's not Zenith, it's Zenith. But Ren is pretty much a budget version of that. The difference is you can create a little shop, and inside that shop, there's a bunch of different items players can have, like mostly potions. They have different upgrades like shields and such. Sometimes there's like discounted TNT. You get a cut of whatever they buy. So the difference between Zenith and this one is Zenith is about what the enemy buys from their shop. Most of the time, you're not going to make a whole lot of like resources. To me, Ren is not so much about getting a cut from your teammates. Like that's so minuscule. Ren is all about the OP potions that you end up with. Like you get shield potions, you get all that kind of stuff. Now you'd have to be a little active to be able to go and get shadow coins. You don't need that many coins to be able to get at least the first couple upgrades, but you could be lazy with it if you want. Next up, we have Cyber, and this is pretty much the drone flying kit. This kit did get an upgrade, I noticed, and it's a nice upgrade. I don't know about you, but I wish they never added the ability to drop TNT on enemies. Like, that is so annoying. I don't know how many times I've killed drones coming into my base to drop TNT. It's so annoying. But there's a reason why they do that. This is because it works. It actually does work, and you get resources for those kills. So how this works is you get a free drone. You just have to buy it, but it seems like you get them for free these days. It's kind of crazy. But you fly the drone over and you want to collect, diamonds with it. You can also collect any kind of other resource. You can collect, iron from the enemy's spawn if you want to. You can collect emeralds. It's pretty nice for being able to transport resources. On top of that, you can, load them up with TNT. So you do have to buy the TNT from the shop, and then you can drop the TNT onto enemies. On top of that, you can also combine the TNT with enchant. So if you want to have, flame effect with your TNT, if you want to, put in like forest for your TNT so you can get, stacked extra HP for dropping stuff on them, you could do so. The upgrade that I saw with this is you now have a dash kind of thing, or at least like a supercharged speed, like a speed boost that has a decent cooldown. It's like a 20-second cooldown or something like that. It's not very long, but you can boost your drone and it speeds up for a little bit. So that's kind of nice, especially if you're getting bowed at. You can avoid arrows a little bit easier because you can always boost, and you can get to resources faster constantly using those boosts. So really powerful kit these days. Like, I was fully stacked in no time, and then after that you can pretty much just go out and drop TNT on enemies and farm that way. So suddenly you get a bunch of loot as a result of killing enemies. Next up, we have the driller, and this drill kit is pretty insane. So the driller, you get a free drill, and you only need, I think it was like 3 more emeralds for another drill, and you can place these on diamond generators. You can also put them on emerald generators. I recommend the emerald generators because then you can buy more drills. And the other thing that's kind of crazy is you can use the tablet to remote defend your drill. So it's got a saw, and you can attack enemies who are trying to kill it, and it's a lot of damage. So they can also be used by your teammates as kind of like a shelter or safety area, because what they can do is they can run towards the drill, and as long as they know the drill is active, the drill can actually like help defend them. So easy kills at mid, in my opinion. And the more drills you get out, of course, the more emeralds you're going to be making. So your team can also get emeralds out of it. So it's like a win-win scenario for your team and you. So you're actually creating more emeralds for your team, capturing these generators with the driller than any other way. The downside is you do need to go out and basically place the drill. If you lose your drill early on, then you got to go and get more emeralds. And finally, we got the most powerful lazy kit in the game. Now, the downside is you do need the initial investment of 6 emeralds. Most of the time, you're going to see Zenith players like begging in chat for emeralds. Like, please, I'm Zenith. I need emeralds, because they're too lazy to go out and get their own, dude. Look, 6 emeralds early the game, a lot of work. Sometimes it's impossible. Like, sometimes you just get completely walled in. You can't get out there to get your emeralds, and then it's GG. But if you can get your 6 emeralds as a lazy player early game, just keep bringing it back to your chest, and eventually you're going can have 6, and then you buy your little satellite dish. And after that, you're pretty much loaded. So, you know, the nice thing is by the time you get that set up, you should be getting tons of iron. You should also start getting some emeralds once the enemy team starts buying the emerald gear. And at some point, you're going to be able to just drop tons of emeralds to your team and feed them. Typically, whenever I've been Zenith, you usually end up with like over 100 emeralds very quickly. And then you can just drop it all to your team. You get, you know, fully stacked emerald gear. So Zenith's still the king when it comes to being the laziest kit in the game. Dude, you don't have to do a whole lot. That's crazy. So that's it for the lazy kits and BedWars. If you want to see more kit videos like this one, where I go through like the most powerful kits, the most annoying kits, things like that, let me know in the comments below. Until next time, happy grinding. Peace.